Kodachrome is the new Netflix movie starring Ed Harris, Jason Sudeikis, and Elizabeth Olsen, and is based on a true story of an aging photographer towards the end of his life decides to make the cross-country trip to Kansas, where it's the last time they're developing Kodachrome film. He has these old rolls, and there's a very broken relationship between himself and his son, the character played by Jason Sudeikis. So I feel like, guys, with a lot of dramas, it hinges on the cast, because I feel like with drama it can come off as cheesy or corny if you're not there with the cast. So let's just focus on the cast at first. And this is a movie about photography, so we found it fitting to bring in our guest, Aaron McGrane from Ally Productions, a professional photographer himself. But let's focus on the cast first, guys. What do you guys think of the cast just in general?
I'll let you start this off.
Definitely, if you love Ed Harris, this is one you should see. I think he really went in on this role, and that wasn't necessarily something I was expecting on the get-go. I found Jason Sudeikis to be relatable, which was all I needed him to be. You can't just look at this as specifically drama, because this is a very unique type of drama that deals with these family relationships. This is in the About Schmidt, Nebraska, Big Fish sort of realm of movie. Where you have that outsized character as one part of the family, and sort of dealing with that and how all of those family relationships have happened over time. For as many social lines that he crosses robustly throughout this, I still found something about that character to be relatable.
Yeah, I think so. For me, I mean, like, the actors are good. This is good acting. It would be wrong of me to say this is bad acting. The writing, for me, this is not the way people talk. I felt like these conversations were like little topics with the last sentence punctuated by a little lesson or a little one-liner to be like, that's the way life is, and then we move on. I never found all that much substance, which doesn't mean the acting was bad. It just means I don't think they had much to work with the script, personally. I mean, what?
I very much enjoyed this cast, and I completely agree with you. If you are an Ed Harris fan, this is a movie for you. He really knocks it out of the park, and it's just surprising. Even in, like, you know, he doesn't play down to the project he's in, even when it's a smaller film like this. And I don't know if Netflix produced it or if it just got picked up by Netflix for distribution, but it was a smaller film, but with a big performance by him. And as far as Jason Sudeikis and Elizabeth Olsen, I thought they were both serviceable, but I completely agree. I didn't really buy the romance between them. It didn't feel organic. It was just like it kind of happened. It's like, I'm good looking and I'm in this situation. You're good looking. You're in the situation with me, so we might as well get together.
And we're drunk.
Right,
like,
right.
Both times. We're drunk and good looking and single.
Yeah, exactly. It didn't really feel organic, but I think that this movie definitely achieved the halo effect where yeah, there are shortcomings with the dialogue and the writing in general, but I feel like because you get invested in these characters, I feel there's relatability, so the halo effect happens where some of the shortcomings in the film, you can kind of ignore them because you are somewhat invested in these characters.
Yeah, I just felt like the relatability wasn't all there for me, because I felt like they wasted a lot of time just talking in circles about how pissed off they are at each other, when I wanted more substance on the topic of photography, on the topic of music. Like, Jason Sudeikis, although he's so likable in other movies, and in this, he's just like, woe is me. I'm sort of like, grow up, buddy. Like, Jesus Christ, get over it.
And that was one of the things which they, with the whole, when they go to the bar and he's talking to her, he's guessing what kind of music she likes.
Yeah.
You have that moment where you sort of get that he is at a level of expertise in his field as well. But you don't ever see that played out. It's kind of like, he's just pathetic. And then when it comes to the moment where he could have landed that deal by taking some good advice and changing his pitch, he abandons it for reasons I still don't understand.
Me neither. I was like, big deal. They made fun of a guy for peeing himself.
Well, they're rock stars. Like,
yeah.
Of course they do.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. It's one of those things where I can understand because they were mocking his father, and he just like rediscovered his affinity for his father, you know, his love for him.
Spoiler.
But at the same time, he's a record producer. He should be around rock stars all the time, expect this kind of behavior, and be kind of numb to it by now.
And that's the whole thing. With these conversations that they had, there was substance that started to lead to something, and then it would be cut short. Or, like, there was some poignant lines in there that he had, like, at the diner and things like that, where I'm like, oh yeah, I can relate to that. But it just wasn't all there. He would start talking about photography and what it means to him, and then the scene would change.
Yeah.
He'd talk about music and trying to guess, like, yeah, what they listen to as kids, and I like that. I've had conversations like that, and then it would change. And I'm like, these are the moments they could have lingered on a little bit longer, but instead they wasted their time with him just being a shithead.
Yeah. And to the photography point, one of the things that I found really interesting about it was And are we giving? How many spoilers are we giving?
Spoil away.
So
Do you think spoil away?
whatever.
Yeah.
the type of intimate family portrait that happens at the end in the slideshow that is sort of what we're all getting to. There wasn't anything in his body of work that led up to that informed me that he was even that type of photographer.
I called it from the very beginning when he was like, it's some of my earlier work. I don't know. I wanted to film. I was like, all right, it's gonna be all photos of the kid.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
obviously, it's
Yep.
gonna be photos of the kid. So yeah, I felt the ending did not pay off for me at all.
Right, and the reconciliation with the romantic arc at the end just think plays into how unnatural it felt. It
Yeah.
was just like there was no, apology, no like I'm sorry I did this to you, let's move past it. There was like no real reconciliation. It's just like, oh, you're here? Yeah, I'm here too. Like just
Yeah.
like how they hooked up. Oh, I'm here, you're here too.
Yeah.
And then, well, we got back together because we're both here.
It was fun to sort of reminisce about the film era. About, I was an assistant in Denver 15 years ago, and you could go into the photography store to buy more paper, and there would be local legends,
Yeah.
and there was sort of that reverence of like, oh, I'm going to process yours specifically, but that era's gone. This goes to show you, though, for all of these little flaws, all these things that we're talking about, Ed Harris makes this a completely watchable film.
I agree with that, especially the conversation that he has with Jason Sudeikis' character towards the end. I'm like, this emotion and this acting is in the right place.
Yeah.
This is good stuff right here. It just didn't build enough to it. They didn't follow the steps they could have to make this feel a little bit more emotional. But yeah, Ed Harris is fantastic in this movie.
The scene where Jason Sudeikis is like, for all you've ever done, you never saw me. And he says, I've been seeing you your whole life. This is what I do. Those were the things that I identified with as a photographer, where there are so many times where people think that you haven't picked up on some subtle aspect of themselves, but you've actually read past that into two different layers further. And when you're at the end of your life, you're summing that up, you're looking at your body of work, and you're looking across at the table at someone who has only ever managed talent, you don't respect them.
Buffs. All right, we shared our thoughts on Kodachrome, the things we like, things we didn't like. So let's just start at the end of the table. Nate, give me your score.
Yeah, I thought this movie was fine. It was just okay. I don't think it brought anything new to the table, and it didn't wow me all that much. But it's a perfectly serviceable road trip movie. So I'm gonna go pretty low though. I'm gonna go 5.5 out of 10. I just didn't find much with this film. It disappointed me. I wanted more.
Okay. Aaron, how about you?
I'm going to be in the 6.5 territory. I mean, I do think that there is a solid performance in there that's worth seeing. I really wish that they would have shown more photography. I guess that the challenge there is anytime you do that, you get too specific with your character. But yeah, 6.5.
Okay, so passable.
Yeah.
Yeah. I enjoyed this movie a little bit more. But I can't say it's anything great, it's anything, remarkable or standout. But I do think that the acting, especially by Ed Harris, and the characters do help carry this movie to make it just a little bit past generic, a quality generic, if you will. So I'll give Kodachrome a 7 out of 10. I mean,
okay.
Not a great movie, but definitely not terrible. And, it's a good one to pass the time, especially for, kind of like a family reconciliation road trip type movie. Buffs. All right, so that's it for our review of Kodachrome. What'd you guys think of the movie? What'd you think of the performances? Go ahead, leave a comment down below, and we'll be back in the theater next week to review Life of the Party. Melissa McCarthy can be hit or miss, so we'll let you know which one it is next week. But no matter where you are, whoever you're with, watch more movies.